Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Cancer for September 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, and if you're interested in being an astrologer, either just to learn for yourself, to learn about yourself, or to do it professionally, then maybe you'll love my astrology apprenticeship program. You can also check out my other vocational school offerings on my website. So what's going on in the month of September? We have eclipse news still coming in from the powerful eclipses in August. You can receive eclipse news 4 to 6 weeks after the eclipse actually occurs. And the story of the eclipses is going to extend out well beyond that because this eclipse cycle, which started at the beginning of 2017, runs into 2019. So the themes that are brought up, the things at play, are continuing to be in motion even beyond this time. We're just in a very major hot spot in the month of the eclipses, which was August, and the time just before and after. So if you have heard eclipse news already, you might be able to implement plans and make decisions now that we have this open window. And this is very important because as of September 5th, when Mercury goes direct, we don't technically start the open window then. We start more around September 20th because there's a shadow period after Mercury goes direct. But from September 20th through November 15th, we have a couple of months of freedom from personal planet retrogrades and their shadow periods. So it's an amazing time to move forward, to launch things, to take action, to take big steps. And there are a lot of really usable dates for moving forward before that September 20th that I'm going to get into here when I talk about the general transits. But first I want to talk about things specific to Cancer. So the early degree Cancer chart looks very different than the middle and late degree Cancer charts, but there is one aspect in common. And so I'm going to first start out with talking about some themes that are getting very, very active for the early degree placements that are coming soon for the middle and later degree placements. Then I want to talk about the energy where you all have energy being accentuated. So early degree placements, you will no doubt notice that your communication and transportation sector is lit up very much. You've got lots of energy there. And so you might be more busy, you might be running around all over the place, you might be getting new devices, you might be getting new cars. If you can wait until September 12th and after, I talk about some really great dates for getting new things like that. Those of you who are in writing, a field of writing, speaking, communicating in any way, this will be a very busy, active time for you. And if you're trying to get into those fields, this can also be full of many opportunities for you. Those of you who are spiritually seeking may find that your connections with your guides and things that are not as readily seen might be very active at this time. You know, this is like spirit speaking to you more actively than usual because this sector of communication is lit up, and communication isn't limited to the normal mundane human interactions we have. It also includes communication on many multidimensional levels. So that this third house sector that's lit up, especially for you early degree placements, so your birthdays are earlier in the sign or the first 0 to 9 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign, that also holds the energy of brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, neighbors. So notable things could be occurring with them. And this all is coming soon for the rest of you placements. Now, the place where you all have anywhere from a little bit to a lot of energy is the second house of money. So I'm calling the major theme for everyone this month, money magic. The early degree placements pretty much just have Venus hanging out there and maybe some other straggling energy depending on your exact placement. But the middle and late degree placements have a very, very full second house. The second house has to do with your earned income, so money that you make, income sources. It also has to do with items of material value. It also has to do with items of, luxurious items, and it can also have to do with environmental projects. So this Taurus energy of the second house rules everything from the spectrum of luxury and opulence over to anything from living very simply off of the earth in connection with sustainable efforts. So any of those things can be very strongly accentuated for Cancer placements this month. Maybe you'll decide that this is time to grow a garden or expand, growing your own food or buying local, or, things having to do with environmental efforts and living more simply, trying to streamline your life. Many people will make a lot of money during these transits. When your second house is loaded, a lot of times there's a lot of financial opportunities for you. So hope that works out for many of you. Other people will find that they're going through a reevaluation system about their money. One way to have more money is to need to spend less money. So we always think about wanting to have abundance, wanting to have more and more money. But a simple way to get abundance is to spend less money, and then you have more money, and then you need to make less money. So this whole evaluation process of what your work ratio is to, spending, to the kinds of things that you need and want, all of that is in the second house. And there's lots of room for magic in all of those arenas. Let's see if there's anything else. Making money ideas. So if you have some money ideas about how to make money, especially from September 12th on, it's a really good time to start implementing these ideas. It also could be good for getting a job or doing something to make your income, because like I said, it is the sector of your individual earned income. So that's lit up very well for you there. So those are the things that are most on my mind for Cancer placements. Now I want to talk about the general transits that are going to affect everyone, including this method that I learned from one of my favorite spiritual teachers, and I'll go into the details about that, about how to link your heart and your mind. Even people who are on a very conscious spiritual path, it's very difficult when moving through the mundane reality to maintain that heart connection. And so this method that I'm going to show you, very quick and easy, how you can get the gamma state of your brain to be invoked. And when you're in that space, you are more receptive to intuition, you're more receptive to magic, you can see truth more clearly, you can see direction more clearly, you can trigger your self-healing mechanisms more readily. So we're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about the dates that I love for doing important things, talk about some things to look out for. So the theme of this month for all signs is bringing fun to work. At this time of year, we start reining in that summer schedule. For my friends down under, maybe you're starting to think about opening things up for spring cleaning. Whatever that looks like from the change in temperature perspective or the change in routine perspective, like going back to school, we often don't think about the astrological basis behind our tendency to get on task at this time of the year. But there is an astrological basis to it, as there is with many things that astrology doesn't get credit for. At this time of the year, personal planets start moving into the sign of Virgo, and from Leo. So Leo is this creative, fun energy, and Virgo is very much on task. It's very much about duties. It's very much about organization and structure. So this year we've got quite a bit of Leo hangover into September, which means that it's going to be a little bit harder to get back on task. You'll find that you'll want that flexible, creative expression energy to drip a little bit further. So my recommendation for this is to bring that creative and fun energy into your duties. And this is a wonderful recommendation for people following, on a spiritual journey anyway, trying to make their lives better and improve their circumstances, bringing fun to work. But astrologically, it's a very wise principle to employ this month. So any way that you can figure out ways to better enjoy work, spruce up your workspace, bring more fun, creativity, flexibility to your organized routine, that's all going to be very well served by the astrological placements. We have a lot of other things to talk about this month regarding energy still coming in from the eclipses, Mercury going direct, some amazing dates for launches and pushing things forward. But before we get into that, I want to give you a very quick tutorial on something that came to me through Greg Braden, Greg Braden is one of my favorite people in the world. He is amazing, doing amazing things in the world. And he has this wonderful show on Gaiam TV, G-A-I-A-M TV, probably.com, but you can look for it online, where they have spiritual movies and documentaries and high vibrational information. So it's very refreshing. And Greg Braden has a show called Missing Links, where he will, in each program, bring science up, the most updated science, to show how it supports spiritual wisdom that has been passed on through the ages, and show you how to use this updated science, this new scientific findings, to deepen your spiritual work and to improve your experience on the planet and make the world a better place. So something that he recommended that I want to do this quick tutorial on, because it's relevant to this bringing fun to work. You know, when we talk about being more creative or bringing more creative spark to something that is very, you know, logical and mundane, sometimes there's a disconnect there. So we can say that the logical energy will represent the mind and the creative spirit will represent the heart. So when the heart and the mind and the heart are not talking, then it's very difficult to bridge that divide. So he explains that when we can create gamma waves in our brain, that links up the heart and the mind, so that we can be naturally in tune to intuition, to creative wisdom, and self-healing, and overall create a better world for ourselves and everyone else. So the way that he says to do this in 3 quick steps is, the first is to touch your heart by actually touching your heart space, your heart chakra. You can start a connection, a conscious connection with the heart. Then if you slow your breathing down to 5 seconds of the intake, so 5 counts breathing in and 5 counts breathing out, and then the third step is to think about something you're grateful for. Now usually that thing will make you smile, you know, even if it's just on the inside, but sometimes you'll find yourself actually smiling. He recommends doing this for at least 3 minutes, but I notice a huge difference just doing it for a short period of time. So if you are trying to blend these parts of your life, bringing fun to work, or anything else where you need to have heart and mind coordination, then follow those 3 steps and do that as often as possible, and it will start to bring you into a more heart-centered experience, which is what the world really needs. Okay, so now let's talk about Mercury going direct. On September 5th, Mercury goes direct, and that means that this planet of communication and transportation will start to adjust its course to be more coherent. When Mercury is in retrograde, we have slowdowns with communications, communication mishaps, devices going haywire, transportation and travel plans shifting. Mercury retrograde can be a very good time to travel. It's a misconception that it's not a good time to travel. It's just you have to do extra work to make things flow sometimes if you're not tuned in. Like if you're trying to schedule too much, often plans will change. So you can check out my Mercury retrograde video if you search for Annie Botticelli Mercury retrograde to see all about how to navigate in the Mercury retrograde energies. But for now, we just want to know that on September 5th, it goes direct. It often takes at least 2 to 3 days before things get regulated. So sometimes you'll have your action list. If you've learned to wait on big action steps until Mercury's direct, you'll be chomping at the bit and say, okay, it's September 5th, I'm going to start doing everything. And that's not recommended, because it's like when you slow down to make a U-turn, you have to slow down. This is like a planet changing directions, has the same energy. You have to slow down and then wait to see if other traffic is coming, you know, and then get back up to speed. So there's awkwardness in that time where you stop before you start moving again. And that's the equivalent of this September 5th time. So I would give it a few days before you start trying to move forward. I really like September 12th, even though we're not technically out of the post-retrograde shadow period then. We've got some amazing dates. We've got the 12th, I think the 13th, hold on. No, not the 13th, the 12th, the 15th, and the 17th and 18th. are my favorite days of the month for doing things. It's not till September 20th that Mercury retrograde post-shadow period completely clears, but there's so much wonderful energy. And as usual, whenever I give you dates, you want to feel around them because there's often a challenging transit right next to an awesome transit, and it's going to show up differently for each individual. So you have to tune in and feel when that pocket is on and jump on that pocket for your action steps. So you're still going to have news and information and a continuum moving along from the August eclipses. We can get news from the eclipses 4 to 6 weeks after the eclipses. And since we're in this, period of time between 2017 and 2019 of the Aquarius Leo eclipse polarity, you can have movement at any time during this time. So things have been set into motion and they're going to continue. But sometimes people will go through a month where there's eclipses and they won't even get any news or anything notable. But the month after, then boom, that's when the news comes. So we want to be on standby still that all of September, even a little bit into October, you could still be having news, information, opportunities, things that need your attention that are coming from those August eclipses. So I'm going to give you a few more dates and some information about some transits to be aware of this month. And know that if you go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and you sign up for my free email newsletter, the same way as I put these horoscopes out a month early, I send a written version of the general transits, not for each sign, but for the general transits. I put that out a month early in a written version to my newsletter list. So if you're interested in receiving that, you can sign up for that at anniehelpsyou.com. If you've already signed up for it and you're not receiving my emails, they're probably in spam, social, events, promotions, because I send them out every month like clockwork, a month before. So if you're not getting them, then connect with me through my website to figure out why, because I'm definitely sending them. Okay. So some great dates, and remember you can feel the effects of planetary transits before or after these dates, but I want to give you a little summary of when some sweet aspects are occurring. The 2nd, the 3rd, the 6th, the 9th, the 12th, the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and 22nd. Some heavier aspects or challenges, opportunities in the form of challenges, may come up around September 4th, 5th, 6th, 13th, 16th, 19th, 20th, 24th, 25th, 27th, 28th, and 29th. Now you might notice that while some of those dates are different, there are some that are the same. So there could be a challenging aspect on one day, and there could be a great aspect on that same day. That's why it's so important for you to tune in. If an astrologer, me or anyone else, says, this is an awesome day, this is a day to do something important, but you're having a terrible day, you shouldn't do it on that day, But if you're feeling really good the day before and you're like, wow, this is what they're talking about, or a couple of days before, whenever it happens to hit for you, then you have to feel into those pockets of your own personal flow and activate according to your intuition using these dates and these transits as a guideline. So just a quick summary of some of these, and again, I do go into more details about this in my newsletter, and you can get this September copy sent to you when you sign up. So September 2nd and September 3rd, we've got these beautiful aspects with Mars in Leo. I really like them for all things, but the one on September 3rd could also cause an ego flare. So you want to make sure if you're coming from some place of fear or anger, you don't want to express those energies, but they're really great for expressing creative energies in general. Mercury goes direct on the 5th. We talked about that. We've got this full moon at almost 14 degrees of Pisces on September 6th. So fullness, completion, fruition, drama, things being brought to light in areas having to do with privacy, secrets, psychological issues, fears, addictions, limiting beliefs. All of these are Pisces-related things. So things can very much be brought to light, things that were hidden coming out from this deep place where they were hidden and brought to your attention. Sometimes this can be in the form of a powerful, enlightened moment where information comes to you that really helps you, or a resource comes in. And sometimes it's information that you didn't know about that was hidden that you really need to know about, and now you have to deal with it. So because this is a full moon in a water sign, especially one that's ruling these water energies of Pisces, flooding and issues with pipes bursting and water related damage and issues can come up more strongly. So before this full moon, it's good to be proactive before. That's the reason why we talk about these things beforehand, is check your water policies, check your flood policy. Very often people don't have any idea what the heck their water damages are covered by their homeowner's insurance or their separate flood insurance. So if this is resonating with you, then do a little bit of a check, talk to your insurance people and check to see what exactly is covered and what isn't covered, and see if you have the proper coverage and the proper deductibles for your circumstance. If you have any water related kind of sketchy thing, it might be good to get that worked out, because there's going to be a lot of pressure on water pipes and water systems at this full moon. So there's another awesome day, September 9th. There's a Virgo, Sun and Virgo trine with Pluto and Capricorn. So we have great support for practical endeavors here. We've got this beautiful trine with Venus and Leo and Saturn and Sag on September 12th. And this is where the creativity and the fun and the romance of Leo, and also things involving children, are boosted with solid support for the future. So big visions about these things can get some really solid Saturnian help. On the 13th, we have Sun and Virgo square Saturn and Sag. So vitality, enthusiasm can take a hit this day. You know, the energies of Virgo can be very organized and meticulous and are wonderful for many things. But when we have a challenging aspect like a square, especially with Saturn, it could bring some criticism or reality checks that aren't very comfortable. I like to recommend for, if you can take a little nap or kind of sleep on a situation, especially when it's a sun aspect, that usually it will pass pretty quickly, because its time frame, his timeline is not very long, so these are kind of quick things that come up and then they shift. Venus in Leo makes a great aspect with Jupiter in Libra on September 15th, and this can be great news for love and money and fun and creativity and children-related things. Jupiter rules expansion and good luck, and so anytime you have beautiful aspects between the love, beauty, money planet and the expansion and good luck planet, there's definitely some great potentials there. On the 16th, we've got Mercury in Virgo conjunct Mars in Virgo. So this is a great time to put talk into action. We've got, energy for advancement, just like we talked about before. Even though the Mercury post-retrograde shadow period runs until September 20th, there are a lot of dates in here that are really good for doing something and moving forward, and this is one of them, September 16th. Or the days around there, you have to tune in and feel. September 17th through the 18th, Venus in Leo trines Uranus in Aries. And this is a magical time, often bringing in wonderful surprises. Now, when we talk about positive or negative potentials with planets, we have to remember that we can only have from the planetary transits an experience of what we are a reflection of inside. Okay, so that means if you have a story, a limiting belief within you that says you can't have a good relationship or you can't have good money circumstances, then when an aspect like this comes along that is all about good relationship and money energies, you could block it, So this is one of the things I've heard people say over time, that sometimes people come to the conclusion that astrology doesn't work or isn't real. And of course, we know scientifically and culturally, every culture with written history has used astrology. So we know it's not that astrology is wrong. It's a matter of the holographic reality where we cannot have an experience of something that isn't true for us on the inside. So if you hear all of these good energetic potentials, astrologers talking about good energetic potentials, and you're not getting them, then that means you've got some inner work to do to make yourself a vibrational match for those things. So if you're an energetic match, this transit could bring in amazing romance, finances, and creativity potentials. It's very, very sizzling, especially because we've got 2 fire energies. So it's a very sizzling potential. September 19th through the 20th, we've got The new moon at 27 degrees of Virgo. Now, of course, maybe you're asking, how is the new moon on 2 days? It's not. It just depends what time zone you're in. That's why we say the 19th through the 20th. So depending on where you are, that date could be different. So you always want to check to see the exact new moon energy time and figure it out for your location to see the exact day that this occurs. So the new moon at 27 degrees of Virgo opens new chapters for health, your daily routine, office dynamics. It's and if you're self-employed, your self-employed workflow or your business, pets, anything having to do with medical diagnostics, diet regimens, anything like that. New chapters opening there. This new moon is also trine Pluto in Capricorn, which brings support from powerful resources, either of a mystical, familial, or financial origin. And it's also square Saturn in Sag, which brings a hurdle that you have to get through to utilize the energies. And then it's opposing Chiron, which brings opportunities to train your inner hero. We always talk about Chiron as this wounded healer. That's one of the best known descriptions of Chiron in astrology, is that he's a wounded healer. Chiron was, in mythology, was a gentle centaur. And he had a wound, and there was, that's where we get that from. There's obviously a lot of story behind it. But one of the other aspects, lesser known aspects of Chiron, is that he was a trainer of heroes. So many of the heroes of that time were actually trained by Chiron. And so I see Chiron, when it shows up in a chart, here it's in a challenging aspect, but we always have opportunities from challenging aspects. It's showing us where our weaknesses are so that we can strengthen them, so that our inner hero can come out more. So of course we have the magical day of balance with September 22nd equinox. We've got a great aspect on the 22nd with Mercury in Virgo trining Pluto in Capricorn. An action, information can pop out at this time in a wonderful way. We can have lots of really good insights from that. On September 24th, Mars in Virgo opposing Neptune can have action blocked by uncertainty or self-doubt. Now on the 25th, we have Mercury in Virgo, square Saturn in Sag. So some disconcerting news is likely now, and self-esteem could be affected by a reality check or a harsh person or a situation. On September 27th or 28th, Jupiter in Libra is opposing Uranus at 27 degrees. Now this aspect is happening for the third time. It's happening at a different degree than it happened before. But this is the end of a three-part story that started on December 26th of 2016, and then happened again at the end of February, beginning of March of 2017, and this is the final piece. So this aspect can bring a sustained rebellion against something that seems to be holding you down. Often we feel something from outside of us as holding us down, or there might be a very good story about how this person or this system is holding us down. But really, in the holographic reality, we only ever hold ourselves down. So this transit can be really good for taking external actions to break free, but unless you're also taking internal actions, the enslavement starts in the mind. So if you don't free your mind, then you're not going to really be able to properly get out of this, especially in the way that is the potential. Oppositions are challenging aspects, but there's so much potential with them to break free from an issue that we can all really consider the positive aspects. So on September 28th, Pluto goes direct. So a lot of that internal process that was occurring with Pluto going backwards is brought back into external reality. And then on the 29th, we've got Venus in Virgo opposing Neptune in Pisces. And this can bring self-doubt. We've got quite a few challenging aspects with Pisces this month. That's why you hear these, pieces of self-doubt and uncertainty coming through. So lots of chances to remember that we can all consciously connect to the source field that connects everything. Whenever we're feeling unsure, just remember that we're connected by this wave this wave of this web, this wavy web connects everything. And so whenever you're feeling alone or uncertain, you can just connect into the certainty of all that is. So that is my breakdown for September. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, check out my blog, sign up for my free email newsletter to get a written version of the things that are going on for the month ahead. And if you're interested in becoming an astrologer, you can check out my astrology apprenticeship program. If you're interested in being a coach as your profession and you want to help people to reach their goals, you can check out my coach certification and online business course. If you are interested in understanding how ancient wisdom applies to current circumstances, you can look for my coming soon School of Practical Magic. So you can check that out on my website, coming soon. And if you'd like to have more information about September, then go to my hubby, B.R. Newman's website, iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com, and check out his tarot report for the month of September. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.